Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. With immense pleasure and deep sense of privilege, I would like to announce the commencement of the remarkable event, the 2 days international conference on Muslim life and culture, colonial Bengal. And this intellectual gathering is organized by BASE in collaboration with the Department of English, PR Ambedkar College. And before going to inaugural part, let me say just few lines about BASE. BASE is an organization with like-minded people who are driven by the collaborative force of compassion and a vision of positive changes. And they are devoted to the noble cause of social work. And they are tirelessly working to uplift the marginalized section and empower the disadvantaged and bring hope to those. Through our various initiatives and activities, we have sought to address the social issues of our city. We will then get to know more about this with the course of time. Let us focus the conference theme. This is actually the one of the initiative of this conference. As it is as you know, it is scheduled to take place on 25th and 26th of November this year. And today's event, 25th event will be going online, and 26th, all the events of 26th will be going offline as well. This conference aims to shed a light on Muslim life and culture in colonial Bengal in different dimensions. And we hope the course of these 2 days, esteemed scholar, intellectuals, researchers, and all the participants from across the globe will converge to engage in stimulating discussion, insightful presentations, and different thought-provoking dialogues. So hope this platform will serve to foster intellectual discourse with a deeper understanding of the significant aspects of Bengali's history. And we are truly honored to host a distinguished panel of speakers whose expertise and scholarship in this field will illuminate us, surely. And we early anticipate the insights they will share with us. So before going to our opening session, that session will be chaired by Dr. M.D. Monirul Islam. Let me introduce him. M.D. Monirul Islam is Assistant Professor and Head of Department of English, Presidency University, Kolkata. He has been engaged in research on Eastern connection of the first generation of Romantic poets for a decade or so, and he has published articles and book chapters based on his research. In 2020, his monograph Oriental Wales, The Early Romantic Poets and Their Eastern Muse was published by Bloomsbury Academy, New Delhi. Another area of his interest is post-human geographies, and he is a founder member of Indian Post-Human Network. Other areas of his interest are travel writing, workability studies, and minor literatures in Bangla, especially literary culture of the Bengali-speaking Muslims in India. So once again, I extend my warmest welcome to all of you. We are excited about the exchange of ideas and potential collaboration. And thank you, Monirulda, for chairing this session, for your valuable contribution for this opening session. And with these few words, I want to switch this platform to Dr. M.D. Monirul Islam. Monirulda, it's over to you now.
So I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. So thank you, Kavita Di, and thank you all the members, organizers for inviting me in here. And a very good afternoon to all of you. Now, this is the opening session of the conference, which is the title, Muslim Life and Culture in Colonial Bengal. If you go through the conference note, I mean the concept note of the conference, I think all of you have gone through it. You must have noted that though It talks about Muslim life and culture in colonial Bengal. The basic focus is on the life of the Bengali Muslims. Uh, Now, this morning, actually, I was trying to think of, my identity as a Bengali or my identity as a Bengali Muslim. Now, what everybody, it's a kind of common thing. Everybody understands that, Bengali as a term or being a Bengali is, as a term, it's more linguistic than territorial. I mean, when you think of the Indian identity, it is more about the territory. But when you think of the Bengali identity, it is more about the language. But obviously, it is not purely, linguistic. Territoriality is also involved, since, as you can understand, the emergence of Bengali culture didn't happen in isolation from the already existing social practices in the region. Now, the thing is, the Bengali identity based on the use of a common language is not very old. It's maybe about thousand year old, not more than that. Actually, Bengali, if we look at the history, Bengali as a proper language, it emerged only in the 13th and the 14th centuries. Even Bengal is a territory. I mean, if you think of it, the idea of Bangladesh was non-existent before the 14th century, according to majority of the historians. Now, if you look at the, origin and development of Bengali language and the origin of a sense of territoriality in connection with Bengal, then you at once, have this revelation that the origin of Bangla and the origin of the, territory of Bengal, idea of Bengal having some kind of a territory, it's coeval with the Muslim rule in these parts of the world. So see, the Bangla Bhasha, origin of the Bangla Bhasha and Bengal as a territory, it coincides with the Muslim rule in Bengal. And the almost 550 years of Muslim rule before the colonial era actually starts, it played a crucial role, or it is a crucial phase when it comes to the history of Bangla Bhasha and culture. Okay. So very interestingly, the period of origin and evolution of Bangla Bhasha and Bengali culture was coeval with the growth of Muslim population in the provinces known as Bengal. So this coevalness, I think, is something very interesting and worth studying. However, we all know that this is beyond the scope of this conference. Okay, so this now the other thing is, when you think of the Muslims in Bengal before the colonial era, we know there had been a lot of them, but there is no, data to point out the number of Muslims living in pre-colonial Bengal. But when you think of the 1872, I mean, Harvard-Risley census, then you get the number that almost half of the population of Bengal at that point of time were Muslims. So from here, we can guess that, there had been a huge number of Muslims living in Bengal during the, say, pre-colonial era, as the data of the late 19th century survey actually reflects. Now, this growth in population, we can understand that was not sudden, and it happened through a long period of time. The second point, I mean, when you talk about the racial survey and when you think of the number of Muslim population in Bengal, we have to keep in mind that the Muslims of Bengal were not necessarily Bengali speaking Muslims. So all of them were not necessarily Bengali speaking Muslims. So once again, we don't have proper data to understand that how many of Muslims living in Bengal at that point of time were Bengali Muslims or Bengali speaking Muslims. But once again, if we pay a little attention to the details of the census, then we can understand that the majority of the Muslims, living in Bengal were native Bengali-speaking Muslims. Now, this conference, aims to study the life and culture of Muslims in Bengal, as it is indicated in the title, but specifically, I mean, Bengali-speaking Muslims during 1757 and during the period 1757 to 1947. So basically from policy to partition, from the defeat of Shiraz in 1757 to the independence of 1947. Now, of course, the speakers, will look back as well as look forward, looking back to the pre-colonial, past, and forward to the post-colonial future. Obviously, will equip us with a more holistic perspective. Okay. Now, we all know that when it comes to the word culture, it encapsulates, life, social life of humans in all its aspects. And if we go by, one of the classical definition of culture provided by Edward B. Tyler, then culture means the complex whole, which includes knowledge, belief, art, law, morals, custom, and other capabilities acquired by man as a member of the society. So the term culture captures life in its totality. And the conference actually aims at a comprehensive exploration of Muslim life in colonial Bengal. Now, some of the questions that I wish to think through during the conference are, what it meant to be a Muslim in colonial India, or for that matter, a Bengali Muslim in colonial India. What were the implications of the transfer of power from the Muslim rulers to the British in the 18th century? I mean, how was the transition into the colonial rule transformed Muslim lives? Was there any formation or an awareness of Bengali Muslim identity in pre-colonial India? Or the sense of being a Bengali Muslim emerged during the colonial era only? Now, the conference has 6 plenaries, as I could see, and the speakers, I hope, we look into different dimensions and culture of Bengali Muslims during the colonial period. Along with plenaries, we also have a considerable number of research papers exploring Muslim lives in colonial Bengal. So when I look at the whole schedule, the brochure of the conference, then I hope that some of the questions that I have been thinking through, and many of the participants here might have in mind, are going to be addressed. So without, any further ado, any further introduction, I'm looking forward to the interventions made by the plenary speakers, the paper presenters, and very importantly, the audience participants. So I hope that this conference will create a kind of dialogue amongst the participating scholars, students, professors, and it will help us to understand one of the comparatively say neglected areas of research. I mean, the life of Muslims in colonial Bengal. And hoping that the conference will be a successful one, I once again thank you everybody for being here. And once again, I thank the organizers for inviting me to say a few words at the beginning of the conference. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monirul Islam, sir, for your informative inaugural speech.